Welcome, beautiful Sigma ladies. Some women walk into a room and the energy shifts. Others, they walk in and the room questions its own existence. Pause. Let that sink in. Because Sigma females don't just enter your life, they haunt it. Quietly, without warning, without permission. And the scariest part, they don't even realize they're doing it. Fact. Studies in psychology show that people who operate outside social hierarchies trigger more subconscious anxiety in groups than outright aggressors. Why? Because the brain can't predict what it can't categorize. Now imagine someone who doesn't care about your social status, your compliments, or your power games, and yet, without lifting a finger, makes the most powerful people feel powerless. Yeah, that's a Sigma female for you. She's not trying to be mysterious, she's just living her life. But somehow her silence is louder than your opinions, her calm feels like a countdown, and her exit feels like an unfinished horror story. And if you think this is just another strong, independent woman trope, hold on to your ego, because what Sigma females do without realizing it will shake your understanding of human behavior, and maybe your own reflection. Let's dive into the spine-chilling things Sigma females do, without even knowing it. Number 1. They trigger insecurities in people who didn't know they had any. When a Sigma female walks into your life, something strange happens, and you won't notice it at first. She doesn't insult you, she doesn't criticize you, she barely even looks at you in a threatening way. And yet, little by little, you start to feel uncomfortable in your own skin. That's because her very existence exposes the cracks in your confidence. People around her begin to feel insecure about things they didn't even know bothered them, things they thought they had fixed. See, most people go through life distracting themselves from their flaws. They build routines, social masks, fake confidence, and busy schedules to avoid facing the parts of themselves they don't like. But when they meet a Sigma female, it's like those distractions stop working. She's not judging you, but her presence makes you judge yourself. Why? Because she is whole without the things you think you need to be happy. She doesn't crave your approval. She doesn't need your validation to feel enough. And when someone lives like that, it forces you to ask yourself, why do I need all these external things just to feel okay? That question alone can shake a person's entire identity. People who pride themselves on being the life of the party start wondering why they feel empty when she's silent. People who climb social ladders start questioning what all that power is worth if it doesn't impress her. Even people in relationships start asking themselves if they truly love their partner, or if they've just settled for comfort. It's like standing next to someone who doesn't wear a mask while you're covered in layers. You suddenly feel heavy, awkward, and fake. Not because she called you out, but because you can feel the difference between authentic peace and noisy insecurity. That's why being around a Sigma female isn't always comfortable. It's not because she makes you feel small. It's because, without meaning to, she shines a quiet light on the parts of you that are still hiding. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. She doesn't destroy your confidence. She simply reveals what you built it on. Number 2. They walk away from emotional currency. Others are desperate to spend. Most people spend their lives trading emotional currency. They give compliments expecting some in return. They offer attention, hoping to be noticed back. They praise others so they can feel praised too. It's a constant give and take, like a social marketplace where everyone is trying to buy love, respect, and belonging. But the Sigma female doesn't play that game. She doesn't deal in emotional transactions, and that completely disorients people. You could shower her with flattery, expecting her to light up, and instead, she'll smile politely, or not at all, and move on with her day. You could bend over backward trying to get her attention, and she'll treat it like background noise, not out of arrogance, but because those things don't hold value in her world. What most people don't understand is that she doesn't reject these things because she's cold. She just doesn't need them to define her worth. Praise doesn't feed her. Validation doesn't fuel her self-esteem. And when someone offers her these emotional rewards, hoping to win her over, and she leaves them untouched, like untouched gifts on a table, it shakes them. People start asking themselves, wait, if she doesn't care about my approval, then what power do I really have? They realize their usual social tools, charm, compliments, attention, don't work on her, and suddenly they feel powerless. Because if you can't control someone through praise or attention, how do you connect with them? That's the scary part. Most people only know how to bond through emotional trade. They don't know how to simply exist with someone without needing something from them. But the Sigma female operates outside of that need. She connects with people from a place of fullness, not hunger. And that kind of self-contained energy feels alien in a world addicted to constant emotional exchange. So when people see her walking away from compliments, ignoring validation, and being unaffected by attention, they're left staring at their own emotional desperation. And in that moment, they realize she didn't reject them. She just doesn't play by the rules they built their entire identity on. Number 3, they terrify manipulators by being unprogrammable. Emotional manipulators are used to people following predictable patterns. They've rehearsed their lines, their guilt trips, their passive-aggressive comments, all carefully crafted to trigger a reaction. They pull one emotional lever and expect the machine to move exactly how they planned. For years, it's worked. They've shaped conversations, controlled emotions, and gotten what they wanted without breaking a sweat. But then, a Sigma female shows up. And suddenly, it's like trying to run outdated software on a brand new system. Nothing works. She doesn't flinch when they give her the silent treatment. She doesn't jump when they pull away affection to punish her. She doesn't bend under guilt, and she doesn't chase after fake apologies. To the manipulator, it's terrifying, because for the first time, their power scripts are useless. They try to confuse her with mixed signals, but she just steps back and watches. They try to gaslight her into doubting herself, but she trusts her own perception more than their twisted words. They try to bait her into emotional chaos, but she doesn't bite. Every trick they've spent years perfecting falls flat, and what's left is their naked desperation for control. And here's the brutal truth most manipulators don't realize. Sigma females don't resist manipulation like rebels. They simply don't run the operating system it's designed for. Emotional control only works on people who are programmed to seek approval, validation, or connection at any cost. Sigma females seek none of that. So while the manipulator is waiting for her to react, waiting for the anger, the tears, the confusion, she's already moved on emotionally, sometimes physically. That cold indifference to their tactics feels like a slap to the face. And the worst part, she won't even explain herself. Manipulators thrive when you argue with them, defend yourself, or beg for clarity. But she gives them silence. No fight, no chase, no closure. Just the empty realization that they were never in control to begin with. To a manipulator, that's not just frustrating. It's terrifying. Because they suddenly realize their power only works on people who care about their approval. And she never did. Number 4. They destroy false intimacy with surgical precision. Most people mistake attention for intimacy. They think a few sweet words, some shared laughs, or a string of late-night conversations equals a deep connection. But to a Sigma female, that's surface-level noise. She can smell false intimacy the moment it enters the room. It's not cynicism, it's clarity. She knows when someone is putting on an act, pretending to care just to feel important, close, or needed. Maybe they're offering comfort they don't truly feel, or pretending to listen when they're really just waiting to talk. Whatever the case, she spots it instantly. And unlike most people who let it slide to keep the peace, she cuts it off with surgical precision. She won't play along, she won't pretend it's meaningful when it's not. She'll withdraw, go silent, or shut down the interaction entirely. And to the person on the other side, the one who thought they were building some fake emotional bridge, it feels brutal, because their performance doesn't land. Their effort to seem close, vulnerable, or compassionate crashes and burns in real time. The Sigma female doesn't crave temporary closeness. She would rather sit in solitude than share space with someone who's faking their feelings. And that preference makes people who thrive on shallow intimacy panic. They're used to others buying into their scripts, thanking them for their fake concern, or clinging to them for attention. But when the Sigma female withdraws from all of it, without a word of warning, they're left standing alone, exposed by their own emptiness. Here's the thing no one tells you. False intimacy is a power game. It's about keeping people emotionally hooked without giving them anything real. And when the Sigma female walks away from it, she breaks the entire game. She removes herself from being a player, leaving the person stuck in their own pretense. And that's what terrifies people. Not that she leaves, but that she does it so cleanly, so quietly, and without looking back, like cutting a toxic cord before it ever had a chance to wrap around her. No drama, no explanation, just pure emotional precision. Number 5. They break people's delusions of control, casually. Control is a comfort zone for a lot of people. Whether it's romantic, social, or professional, people love to feel like they have the upper hand, like they're guiding the conversation, setting the rules, or influencing someone's behavior without that person noticing. But the Sigma female, she blows that illusion apart without even trying. People step into her life thinking they've figured her out. They believe that if they act a certain way, give her attention, withdraw affection, or throw a little charm her way, she'll react predictably, like most people do. But what they don't realize is that she doesn't play on those terms. Control tactics don't register in her world. She's not blind to them. She just sees how laughably small they are compared to her freedom. She's not defiant in a loud, rebellious way. She's calm, relaxed, which makes it worse for the person trying to control her. They think they're steering the ship, only to realize halfway through the ride that she was never in the boat with them in the first place. And that realization hits hard, because most people base their self-worth on how much influence they have over others. But when their influence means nothing to her, when she doesn't chase them, doesn't beg for their time, doesn't even flinch when they try to manipulate her, they're left staring at a truth they never prepared for. They were never in control to begin with. What makes this so spine-chilling is how casually she does it. There's no dramatic speech, no power struggle. She just removes herself from the game without explanation. One minute you think you've got her where you want her, and the next you're alone, wondering how you misread the entire situation. It's the psychological whiplash that breaks fragile egos. People who built their whole personality on being the puppet master suddenly realize they were pulling strings attached to nothing. And that kind of emptiness is hard to recover from. With a Sigma female, control is an illusion you break yourself against. Number 6. They make obsessive people spiral without even trying. Most people, when they sense someone's obsessed with them, either feed it for attention or try to shut it down to avoid discomfort. Sigma females do neither. And that's exactly why they leave obsessive people spinning in their own storm. She doesn't reward obsession with attention. She doesn't give them drama to feed off of. She simply lets their obsession sit there, unanswered, unacknowledged, untouched. To someone who craves her energy, this is maddening. They send texts and get no reply. They create situations hoping to cross paths, and she doesn't show up. They post things online hoping she'll notice, and she doesn't even look. Instead of playing the cat-and-mouse game, she just walks away from the entire board, and that's what drives them insane. Obsessive people live off reactions. Whether it's love, hate, curiosity, or even rejection, they want to provoke something. But the Sigma female's silence feels like a vacuum. The more they try to fill it with their desperate energy, the colder and emptier it feels. And here's where it gets cruel without her even meaning it. Her disinterest makes her even more magnetic. Because now, to the obsessed person, she's not just desirable, she's unattainable. And human nature is twisted enough that we often want what we can't have far more than what's freely given. So instead of moving on, the obsessive mind keeps replaying every interaction, overthinking her silences and building wild fantasies in the empty spaces where her responses should have been. The Sigma female doesn't play this as a tactic. She's not trying to hurt anyone. She simply lives by her own code, and if she senses unhealthy energy, she naturally withdraws. But that very withdrawal creates a vacuum, and obsessive people can't handle the emptiness. They spiral, quietly, alone. They go from "how do I win her over" to "why doesn't she need me" to "what's wrong with me" in record time. And all the while she's somewhere else living her life, untouched by the storm they're drowning in. That's the brutal power of detachment. And it leaves obsessive minds trapped in their own unsolvable puzzle. Number 7. They exist beyond the need to be liked, and that's haunting. Most people adjust who they are just to be liked. They soften their opinions, laugh at jokes they don't find funny, and agree with ideas they don't truly believe in, all to fit in, to avoid conflict, to be accepted. It's so automatic they don't even realize they're doing it. But the Sigma female, she doesn't bend. She doesn't water herself down. She doesn't scan the room wondering, am I likable enough? She simply is who she is, unapologetically, calmly, and without explanation. And that's where the haunting part begins. Because when people meet someone who doesn't care about approval, they start questioning themselves. Why do I crave acceptance so much? Why do I base my confidence on what strangers think of me? These aren't easy questions. And most people spend their whole lives avoiding them. Around her, their smiles feel fake. Their small talk feels forced. Their people-pleasing tendencies suddenly feel childish. It's like she holds up a mirror showing them how much of their identity is built on the need to be liked. And the reflection is uncomfortable. It's not that she rejects kindness or connection, she values both. But she won't perform for them. She won't trade pieces of herself for social approval. And that stillness, that refusal to play the likability game, unsettles people. Some admire her, others resent her, but almost all feel exposed in some way. Because if she can exist without chasing approval, what excuse do they have? She forces people to confront the truth most of them try to ignore, that much of what they say and do is a carefully managed performance to avoid rejection. Her authenticity, quiet and steady, makes their performance look hollow. That's why her presence stays with people. Not because she's loud or attention-seeking, but because she breaks an invisible rule most people live by without question. She reminds them that it's possible, and terrifying, to live without needing to be liked. And once you see someone live that way, you can't help but wonder why you ever craved approval in the first place. Number 8, they force narcissists into an identity crisis. Narcissists build their entire sense of self around control and admiration. They feed off attention like it's oxygen. Whether it's through charm, manipulation, or intimidation, they craft situations where they are always the center of the story. People either admire them, fear them, or need them, and that's how they feel alive. But when a Sigma female enters the picture, the script breaks. She doesn't admire them. She doesn't fear them. And worst of all, she doesn't need them. She sees through their charm like it's a cheap disguise. Their attempts to impress her fall flat. Their manipulation tactics bounce off like rubber bullets. And their control games, she won't even step onto the playing field. At first, the narcissist convinces themselves she's just playing hard to get. Or maybe she's broken and doesn't know how special they are. But eventually, an uncomfortable truth creeps in. She genuinely doesn't care. And that's where the identity crisis begins. Narcissists define themselves by how much control they have over others. If someone loves them, they feel powerful. If someone obeys them, they feel important. But what happens when none of that works? When their most polished tactics don't move her an inch? They're left with a terrifying question they've spent their whole life avoiding. Who am I when no one's admiring me? The Sigma female forces them to confront this emptiness without lifting a finger. She doesn't try to fix them. She doesn't argue. She doesn't play therapist. She just remains steady in her indifference, leaving them alone with their own hollow reflection. This isn't a dramatic battle of wills. It's quiet, subtle, and devastating. Because unlike most people who will bend or break to gain the narcissist's approval, she remains untouched. And that sends the narcissist spiraling. They thought they were the sun. She showed them they were just a light bulb flickering in an empty room. And that's a truth their ego was never prepared to face. Number 9. They make social status look laughably small. Social status is one of the loudest currencies in the modern world. People show off their cars, their job titles, their designer clothes, their social media following, all hoping that these shiny symbols will scream, "I matter." In most circles it works. People stare, envy, and rush to praise the one who shines the brightest in the status game. But when a Sigma female walks into the room, all of that suddenly feels laughably small. She doesn't chase those things, not because she can't have them, but because they mean nothing to her sense of identity. A car is just a car. A luxury brand is just fabric with a logo on it. Followers are just numbers on a screen. She sees them for what they are. Objects, numbers, distractions, not proof of human worth. And when someone flashes these things in front of her, expecting admiration, all they get is polite disinterest. No envy, no wide-eyed amazement. Just the calm, unsettling energy of someone who couldn't care less about your social scorecard. This is where it gets uncomfortable. People who've built their confidence on external success suddenly feel exposed. They realize that if their car, their wealth, or their social clout doesn't impress her, what's left? Who are they without the shiny packaging? The Sigma female doesn't make them feel small by insulting them. She doesn't need to. Her indifference alone makes their prized possessions feel hollow. They start questioning why they spent so much time chasing things that can't buy genuine respect. To her, real power is quiet. It's found in how you treat people when no one's watching, how you carry yourself when no one's clapping. It's built in solitude, not in applause. And when she stands next to people flaunting their success, the contrast is brutal. They realize she's operating on a frequency they can't reach with money, fame, or influence. She's living outside their entire system, and that realization strips their status symbols down to what they've always been. Trophies people award themselves to cover their insecurities. And that's why being around a Sigma female feels unsettling to the status-obsessed. She doesn't need to tear down their world. She simply steps outside of it, leaving them alone inside their castle of sand. Number 10. They're emotionally fluent, but don't speak the language of emotional blackmail. Sigma females understand emotions better than most people. They aren't cold or emotionally distant. In fact, they read emotions with sharp clarity. They know when someone's hurting, when someone's insecure, or when someone's trying to cover up fear with arrogance. But here's the catch. Just because they understand your emotions doesn't mean they'll let you weaponize them against them. Emotional manipulators are used to dealing with two kinds of people: those who don't understand what's happening and fall for the trap, and those who recognize the game but still play along to avoid conflict. Sigma females are neither. When someone tries to guilt-trip her, making her feel bad for setting boundaries, it doesn't work. She sees the guilt for what it is, a tactic, not truth. When someone uses pity, playing the victim to make her feel responsible for their happiness, she doesn't take the bait. And when someone tries to shame her into obedience, hoping she'll fold to protect her reputation, she calmly watches them exhaust themselves. It's not that she's heartless. She just refuses to be controlled by emotional games. She'll feel compassion for your pain, but won't let it dictate her choices. She'll acknowledge your feelings, but won't allow them to override her own values. To emotional blackmailers, this is maddening. They're shouting into what feels like a soundproof void. Their emotional outbursts, carefully designed to provoke guilt or sympathy, land with a quiet thud. She listens, but she doesn't move. Most people, when faced with emotional manipulation, either cave in or explode in frustration. The Sigma female does neither. She stays centered, silent, clear. And that silence is terrifying for manipulators who are used to pulling strings and watching people dance. She knows how emotional blackmail works, how people twist kindness into obligation, love into control, empathy into submission. And that's why she never speaks that language. She doesn't play emotional chess because she doesn't need to win the game. She just leaves the board altogether. And in a world where so many people are slaves to guilt, pity, and shame, meeting someone who simply refuses to play is unsettling in a way that words can't fix. Number 11. They make people feel transparent without trying to read them. There's something unsettling about being around a Sigma female. She's not interrogating you. She's not psychoanalyzing every word you say. But somehow, standing in her presence, you feel seen. And not in the comforting way people talk about being seen in self-help books. You feel exposed, transparent. like your hidden intentions, your small insecurities, and your quiet manipulations are all out in the open without her saying a single word. The scariest part? She's not even trying to read you. She's not playing mind games. She's not scanning your body language or running mental calculations on what you really mean. She's simply present. Fully, calmly present. And that rare kind of awareness is like a silent mirror. People feel their own intentions reflected back at them. Most people hide behind noise. Jokes, compliments, social scripts, and forced charm are their shield against being truly seen. But a Sigma female doesn't fill the space with noise. She holds stillness, and in that stillness, the masks fall off. People realize they've been performing, and suddenly it feels ridiculous. The ones with good intentions feel oddly calm around her because they have nothing to hide. But those with agendas, those looking to impress, manipulate, or deceive, start fidgeting. Their jokes don't land. Their charm feels flat. Their manipulation tactics feel obvious. It's not that she exposes them by calling them out. She doesn't humiliate people. She simply doesn't react to their fronts. And without her playing along, their performance feels empty and pointless. People leave conversations with her replaying every word they said, wondering if she saw through them, and the truth is she probably did. But it's not personal. She's not out to shame anyone. She just doesn't pretend not to notice what's already obvious. And that's what makes it so unnerving. When you're around most people, you can hide your intentions behind charm or status. But around a Sigma female, there's nowhere to hide. She doesn't strip away your layers. You realize you never really had any in the first place. Number 12. They possess a stillness that feels alien in a world addicted to noise. In a world where everyone is addicted to noise, constant notifications, endless small talk, background music just to avoid silence, the Sigma female's stillness feels almost otherworldly. While people scramble to fill every second with sound, entertainment, or distraction, she sits in complete quiet, untouched by the chaos. She doesn't reach for her phone when there's a pause in conversation. She doesn't rush to fill awkward silences with pointless chatter. She doesn't over-explain her actions to make others comfortable. Her calm presence in moments where most people would panic exposes how restless the modern world has become. And this stillness isn't forced. She's not trying to be mysterious. It's natural, comfortable, and that's exactly why it unsettles people, because it reminds them how uncomfortable they are in their own mind. Most people can't sit alone with their thoughts for more than a few minutes without reaching for some form of escape. But when they meet her, and she's able to exist in that space effortlessly, it feels alien, almost inhuman. In social settings, her stillness is mistaken for coldness. People wonder, why isn't she engaging more? Why isn't she filling the silence like the rest of us? But what they're really feeling is their own discomfort reflected back at them. And in chaotic situations, arguments, emergencies, or tense environments, where people are frantically reacting, she remains steady, watching, processing, not frozen, but deeply aware. That kind of unbothered presence makes people feel like they're the ones losing control, not her. It's hard for people to grasp that she doesn't need external noise to feel alive. Her stillness isn't emptiness, it's peace. And that peace feels threatening to those who mistake constant motion for purpose. In a world where everyone is rushing to be seen, heard, and validated, the Sigma female's quiet existence feels like rebellion. But it's not rebellion, it's freedom. And that freedom exposes just how trapped most people are in their own noisy minds. In the end, the Sigma female doesn't set out to disturb the world around her. She simply refuses to be molded by it. And in that refusal, she becomes a silent storm, shaking the foundations people didn't even know they were standing on. She's not loud, but her absence is deafening. She's not chasing power, but her detachment terrifies those who built their lives on control, validation, and shallow connections. The truth is, her spine-chilling presence comes from one simple fact. She's free. Free from emotional blackmail, free from the addiction to being liked, free from the exhausting need to prove herself. And in a world addicted to approval and noise, nothing feels scarier than a person who cannot be bought, manipulated, or controlled. That's why people remember her long after she's gone. They don't remember what she said. they remember how she made them confront themselves, their insecurities, their false confidence, their desperate need to be someone. But beneath all the silence, all the mystery, and all the calm detachment, she's not trying to be anyone's villain or savior. She's simply choosing herself in a world that pressures everyone to be someone else. And that in itself is a rare kind of power. So whether you fear her, admire her, or fail to understand her, one thing's for sure: you'll never forget the impact of crossing paths with a Sigma female. And if this resonated with you, if it made you see the world a little clearer, or maybe yourself a little clearer, then hit that like button, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because we're just getting started diving into the truths most people are too afraid to say out loud. Until next time, stay sharp, stay real, and if you ever meet a Sigma female, don't try to figure her out. Just respect the silence. If this message hit home for you, don't just scroll away. Show some love and keep this energy going. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss content that cuts through the noise and gives you raw, unfiltered truth. Like this video if it challenged your perspective, and share it with someone who's still trying to figure out why some people shake the room without saying a word. And drop a comment below. What part of this resonated with you the most? Or better yet, tell me what topic you want to dive into next. This channel is about going deeper, not just scratching the surface. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and stay real, because we're just getting started.